Hello, we're back. Was it hard waiting overnight to hear today's? That was kind of cruel to leave us off right in the middle of what Paul was saying. So let me go back just a little bit. Today, we're going to continue in Acts in the Passion Translation, starting with 22, but I'm going to go back just a verse so we remember where we were, because we sort of left off in the middle of a pause. We kind of took a deep breath in and stopped. So I'm going to go back to verse 40 in 21. When the commander gave his permission, Paul stood on the steps and gestured with his hands for the people to listen. When the crowd quieted down, Paul addressed them in Aramaic and said, chapter 22, "Ladies and gentlemen, fellow believers and elders, please listen to me as I offer my defense." Now, when everyone realized he was speaking to them in their Judean Aramaic language, the crowd became all the more attentive. Then Paul said, "I am a Jewish man who was born in Tarsus, a city of Turkey. However, I grew up in the city and was properly trained in the Mosaic law and tutored by Rabbi Gamaliel, according to our ancestral customs. I've been extremely passionate in my desire to please God, just as all of you are today. I've hunted down and killed the followers of this way. I have seized them and thrown them into prison, both men and women. All of this can be verified by the high priest and the Supreme Council of Elders, for they even wrote letters to our fellow Jews of Damascus, authorizing me to arrest them and bring them back to Jerusalem as prisoners to be punished. As I was on the road approaching Damascus about noon, a brilliant heavenly light suddenly appeared, flashing all around me. As I fell to the ground, I heard a voice say, 'Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?' I answered, 'Who are you, my Lord?' He said to me, 'I am Jesus, the victorious. I am the one you are persecuting.' Those who were with me saw the brilliant light, but they didn't hear the voice of the one who spoke to me. So I asked, 'Lord, what am I to do?' And the Lord said to me, 'Get up and go into Damascus, and there you will be told about all that you are destined to do.' Because of the dazzling glory of the light, I couldn't see. I was left blind, so they had to lead me by the hand the rest of the way into Damascus. A Jewish man living there named Ananias came to see me. He was a godly man who lived according to the law of Moses and was highly esteemed by the Jewish community. He stood He stood beside me and said, 'Saul, my brother, Saul, open your eyes and see again.' At that very instant, I opened my eyes and I could see. Then he said to me, 'The God of our ancestors has destined you to know his plan and for you to see the Holy One and to hear his voice. So you will be his witness to every race of people and will share with them everything that you've seen and heard. So now, what are you waiting for? Get up, be baptized, and wash away your sins as you call upon his name.' Then I returned to Jerusalem, and while I was praying in the temple, I entered another realm and saw him. He said to me, 'Hurry and depart from Jerusalem quickly, for the people here will not receive the truths you share about me.' 'But Lord,' I argued, 'they all know that I'm the one who went into our Jewish meetings to find those who believe in you and had them beaten and imprisoned. When the blood of your witness Stephen was shed, I stood nearby in full approval of what was happening. I even guarded the cloaks of those who stoned him to death.' Then he said to me, 'Go at once, for I'm sending you to preach to the non-Jewish nation.'" The crowd listened attentively to Paul up to this point. But when they heard this, all at once they erupted with loud shouts, saying, "Get rid of this man! Kill him! He doesn't deserve to live!" While the crowd was screaming and yelling, removing their outer garments and throwing handfuls of dust into the air in protest, the commander had Paul brought back into the compound. He ordered that he be whipped with a lash and interrogated to find out what he said that so infuriated the crowd. When the soldiers stretched Paul out with ropes, he said to the captain, who was standing nearby, "Is it legal for you to torture a Roman citizen like this without proper trial?" I love that he pulls that out. When the officer heard this, he immediately went to his commander and reported this, saying, "This man's a Roman citizen. What should we do now?" The commander came to Paul and asked, "Tell me the truth. Are you a Roman citizen?" "Yes, I am," he replied. The commander said, "I had to purchase my citizenship with a great sum of money. Paul replied, I was born as a citizen. All the soldiers who were about to whip Paul backed away because they were afraid of the consequences for tying up and holding a Roman citizen against his will. The next day, the commander ordered that the high priest and the supreme Jewish council be convened because he wanted to find out exactly why the Jews were accusing Paul. So he had him untied and brought out to stand before them all. Chapter 23. Paul fixed his eyes on the members of the council and said, My brothers, up to this day, I have lived my life before God with a perfectly clear conscience. At that moment, Ananias and the high priest ordered those standing near Paul to strike him in the mouth. Paul responded, God is going to strike you, you corrupt pretender, for you sit there judging me according to the law, yet you broke the law when you ordered me to be struck. Those standing near Paul said to him, Do you dare insult the high priest of God? Paul answered, I had no idea, brothers, that he was the high priest, for the scriptures say, Do not curse the ruler of your people. Just then Paul realized that part of the council were Sadducees who deny the resurrection of the dead, and others were of the separated ones. So he shouted, My fellow Jews, I am a separated one and the son of a separated one. That's why I'm on trial here. It's because of the hope I have that the dead will rise to live again. He's so good. He's so quick. I love that. When he said this, a heated argument started among them, dividing the council between the Sadducees and the separated ones. Paul knew that the Sadducees teach there is no resurrection and do not believe in angels or spirits, but the separated ones believe in them all. This sparked an even greater uproar among them. Finally, some of the separated ones who were religious scholars stood up and protested strongly, saying, We find nothing wrong with this man. It could be that the Spirit has spoken to him or an angel came to him. When the shouting match became intense, the commander, fearing they would tear Paul to pieces, intervened and ordered his soldiers to go into their meeting and seize him and take him back to their headquarters. That night, our Lord appeared to Paul and stood before him and said, Receive miracle power. For just as you have spoken for me in Jerusalem, you will also speak for me in Rome. There you go. Now he knows he's going to live. He's not going to be killed right there. That was some good encouragement right there, right? The next day, more than 40 Jews formed a conspiracy and bound themselves under oath to have no food or water until they had killed Paul. They better be careful what they say because Jesus just said he was sending them to Rome. They're going to be fasting for a long time or lying. They went to the high priest and the elders to divulge their plans and said to them, We have united in a solemn oath not to eat or drink until Paul is dead. So we urge you to have the commander bring him to you as though you were to determine his case with a more thorough inquiry, and we will kill him before he even gets here. When Paul's nephew, his sister's son, overheard their plot to kill him, he came to the headquarters and informed him of their plans. Paul called for one of the captains and said, Take this boy to the commander, for he has something important to report to him. The captain took him to the commander and informed him, Paul, the prisoner, asked me to bring this boy to you because he has something important for you to know. The commander took him by the arm and led him aside in private and asked him, What do you have to tell me? He replied, The Jews have plotted to kill Paul. Tomorrow they will ask you to bring him again to the Supreme Council under the pretense of wanting to question him further. Don't believe them, because they have 40 men lying in wait to ambush Paul. These men have sworn an oath not to eat or drink until they have killed him. They're all waiting for you to agree to their request so they can carry out their plot. The commander dismissed Paul's nephew after directing him, Tell no one that you've reported these things to me. Then he summoned 2 of his captains and said to them, I want you to take Paul by horseback to Caesarea tonight at 9:00. Dispatch 200 infantrymen, 70 horsemen, and another 200 spearmen to provide security and deliver him safely to Governor Felix. He sent with them a letter that read, From Claudius Lysias to His Excellency Governor Felix. Dear Governor, I rescued this man who was seized by the Jews as they were about to put him to death. I intervened with my troops because I understand that he is a Roman citizen. I was determined to learn exactly what charge they were accusing him of, so I brought him to stand before the Jewish Supreme Council. I discovered that he was being accused with reference to violating controversial issues about their law, but I found no charge against him that deserved death or imprisonment. When I was informed of an imminent plot to kill him, I sent him to you at once, and I have ordered his accusers to also come before and state their charges against him. Sincerely, Claudius Lysias. The soldiers carried out their orders and escorted Paul during the night until they reached the city of Antipatris. The next day, the horsemen continued on with Paul, and the rest of the soldiers were dismissed to return to their headquarters. Upon their arrival at Caesarea, they presented the letter to the governor and brought Paul before him. After reading the letter, he asked Paul what province he was from. Paul answered, Southeast Turkey. The governor said, I will give you a full hearing when your accusers arrive here also. Then he ordered that Paul be kept under guard in Herod's palace. There we go. Again, they're leaving us hanging. But we'll pick this back up tomorrow. It's been a joy reading with you. I love you.